Hey, what's up, guys? I want to share a deal with you today. First, I get a lot of questions from sellers on why is it, would it make sense? And I'm not here to tell you if it does make sense or not make sense to sell this way. I just want to provide the option and then you decide if it makes sense. But sellers typically want to know what's in it for them, right? Like if I went on market, I didn't get my price, and I'm thinking about selling on terms, what is in it for me? Why would I even consider doing this? So I've got a list of top reasons of sellers that I normally work with. Let's go through that, and then I want to go through this deal. Number one, you get a higher selling price when you sell on terms. When buyers are getting a 2, 3, or 4% interest rate, their payment is 30 or 40% less than if they went to a bank to get a loan. They're willing to pay a premium for that property on price because it's also their mindset. They're not buying the property for price. They're buying property today that they can afford the payment on and their renters can cover the payment on, and holding it until the price goes up. So this strategy allows you to buy more real estate today, knowing that real estate goes up in price over time, and that builds a lot of wealth when you have a lot of property that goes up over time. The second part is typically when you go on market and you sell with a listing agent, it's going to cost you anywhere from at the very lowest 5% to sell with agents. Now, I'd be careful, with bargain agents. They're one of our jobs as agents is to negotiate on your behalf. And if somebody can't even negotiate their structure, what they get paid between their broker and them to take home and feed their family with, they're probably not a great negotiator, and they're going to do whatever it takes. What I've seen on agents on the other side to get the deal done rather than getting their client the best deal. So, but when you sell on terms, you don't have to pay all of that. Typically, the buyer pays any kind of commission or, in this case, assignment fee for somebody coming out and finding the deal and bring it to them. The buyer pays for that, so that doesn't come out of the seller's note proceeds. Now, between a higher price and lower selling cost, sellers get a lot more equity. On this property, they're probably going to get over $100,000 more equity than what they were selling on market because they had to lower their price. We're not going to do that here. We actually increased their price by $25,000 over what they had it on market, and we decreased their selling costs. So those are two of the first reasons. The third thing is buyers buying on terms are way less maintenance. They sometimes don't even inspect. It's kind of known that when you buy on terms that you're buying what we call as is condition, where we're not going to go through and give the selling agent an item for the seller to repair 20 things. So all that goes out the window. There's no need to spend even more money on repairs, hiring contractors and maintenance man. Definitely, I recommend for buyers to get it inspected, but that comes last. Another option, you sell much quicker. I've seen people try 2 or 3 agents that couldn't sell the property. Then we talk about selling it on terms. And a lot of times, like this one, we sell off market before it even gets to the market at a higher selling price and have a bunch of people interested. In this case, we're going to be going under contract on this deal, I believe, today with one of my buyers slash investors and friends that was interested in deals like this that I sent it to, along with a couple other people. And without even putting it into the world, in front of the world's eyes, this property's selling. So that's another reason. Sell much quicker, without the headache. A lot of times, if you have equity like this one, they will have some equity remaining in the property. A lot of it because we increased the price and less selling cost, that you'll get that as passive income. So I got into real estate to get passive income, not to be a landlord. Actually, being a landlord is really a pain in the butt, if you know what I mean. If you've done it and you're not big enough to have a full management company yet. So this is a way to get passive income over time, mailbox money, with your equity that you already have without having to deal with all taxes, insurance, operations, maintenance, tenant calls, all the stuff that goes along with owning a property. So that's another reason. Another reason is if you have a lot of equity in your property and you don't have other write-offs and you're going to get slammed with capital gains if you sell your property because it went up in value. Selling on terms is a way to defer that over time. So that's a reason. Many of these reasons combined is why this seller is selling this way, this beautiful property here in Scottsdale. But let's get into the numbers real quick as I'm scrolling through the pictures here. This property is on Thomas and 101. Absolutely wonderful location. right by Old Town Scottsdale, especially if you're an out of stater and you're looking to come and stay in the property a few times a year, like I suspect this buyer will. It's right there. It's right off the 101. You're right by all the nightlife and restaurants and coffee shops and spring training facilities in Old Town Scottsdale. So that's a huge benefit of this property. It's a 3-2, 1375 square feet, no HOA. It's got a pool, a putting green. You'll see these high-end updates as we scroll through the pictures here. It was built in 1960. Now the purchase price, they had it on market at 750, but we're actually going to ask for 765, and the buyer's going to pay the selling cost on that. The down payment they're looking for, and there's many things that make a deal great or make a deal not so great. We've already talked about location and the condition of the property. Having no HOA is huge. Being in Scottsdale or other great areas is huge. Down payment, we try to keep around 10% of purchase price. So in this, that would be 75K, but that doesn't work for the seller situation. In this case, they want double that. They want 150K in pocket, which is going to put it at 20%. Now, it is more difficult to sell properties at 20% down payment compared to 10, which is kind of like, I guess if there's a standard, it would be around 10%. But what I find in Arizona, we can go a little higher for the seller and the buyers are willing to pay more, especially if it's in another area. So this one's really high, but it's still selling very quickly, even though it's at 20%, because the interest rate, we'll get to that, is in the low threes and the payment is so low and affordable that this thing is an absolute cash flow beast. And that's why the buyer wants it. They're willing to put more down because of that. There's no arrears. Of course, we're going to go through title and closing company just like we would with an on-market transaction. So if there is something out there, it will be found and it will come out of the seller's proceeds. The all-in entry fee, all in for this property, including the down payment, the buying cost, closing cost, anything along the lines of those, transaction coordinator, is 168,000 for this property. The seller's asking for a 1% down earnest money deposit, which is 8,000. Now let's get into the finances on the property. As beautiful as this property looks and the amenities in the area, the best thing about this property is actually going to be the finances behind it. So purchase price is 750 or 65. We'll call it 150 down. So that's going to leave roughly about 600,000 left in the deal. Now the underlying conventional mortgage on this is 535K. It's got a 3.25 interest rate. $319 roughly is going to taxes on that. Your all-in payment on that, taking over payments on that, is 2628. So very, very attractive, especially when you look at the revenue that this thing produces. From a track record, it's got months January, February, anywhere from like 7 to 12,000 if you go back a year. So great revenue on this. I did Price Labs assessment and it's showing about the 70 to 75,000 you can expect as far as revenue on this. Now you got some more expenses with running an Airbnb, but when your payment is $2,600 a month all in, that is an absolute cash flow beast. There's several months where you're going to walk out of this property with $5,000 probably net. I'd say more on average, you're probably going to come out of there with 3,000 or so after all expenses and cleaners and all that fun stuff that come along with paying running an Airbnb. Now, there's also going to a balance of equity. And that's the seller saying, hey, I'm willing to keep a little equity in this deal to make sure it's a good deal. That's about 65,000 on this, and it's going to be principal only payments to the buyer. So in addition to your 2628 PITI, principal, interest, taxes, insurance, an additional payment of equity of $172 a month is going to go directly to the seller, and that's principal only. So you're gaining equity on that every single month. It's got a 10-year balloon, or I'm sorry, a 7-year balloon on it. It contingent on having 25% equity for the buyer. So when they go to refinance or do whatever, sell the property, they've got to contractually in 7 years to pay the seller out their remaining equity. And we put that 25% in there. Most buyers want it to make sure they have enough equity to go back to a traditional company and refinance the property and have enough money to pay off the original mortgage, the seller's equity, and still have enough money in pocket where they're not coming out with having to get the cash from somewhere else. So that's something we put in there, and that's contingent on them making their payment every single month for 7 years and not being late on payments. So as you can see, this has got a perfect setup. Got a little fire pit over here. We've got a heated pool. We got little cabana. Like, this is perfect for Airbnb right here in Old Town. I would love to stay here myself. You got a little putting green, natural grass, storage shed. Your cleaners always love this. So that's it. That is this deal. Sorry for the editing on my deal here. I'm not choosing to edit this because I just want to get it to you guys because I know this is a hot one. If you have any questions on deals like this or others or creative finance, seller finance, any blend, there's a few different ways to do it. Reach out to me. Hopefully I'll get a deal done with you. One day I'll get an opportunity to work with you. But if I can add any value, have any questions, my contact info should be in the description below. You'll see me with a lot of content, but also a lot of videos like this because I am still getting my own deals, buying my own deals, selling my own deals, helping buyers, helping sellers. So you'll see a lot of these, probably two or three a week moving forward, if not more, with my team that I'm building. So reach out. I hope to get to know you. I hope to do a deal with you. Thank you.